That's a couple of things. And so my takeaway from this is the key part is that question, right? It's the question that you're answering. Is that a joint question between you and the client that says, I want to go and I'm pulling together this data set. I'm trying to solve this question maybe before the project starts, or is it as a result of it? So how do you come up with that question that you're going to tell the story around?
It's definitely in a conversation. It's a back and forth with the customer. At least that's the way that I do it. And that's the way that I've found the strongest results come out, because I might be the person in the room who has the most experience with research methodology, with statistical tools, with this, that, the other. I'm not the subject matter expert of what my clients are, right? So in my mind, any good research project kind of like this needs to be a collaboration between the subject matter expert and also the people with the tools, the expertise. So working with my clients, I really like to have that kind of conversation, communication continue. And I like to, if anything, I like to over communicate, because I want to make sure that I'm going in the right direction. I think, David, I responded a couple of months ago to one of your posts or something on LinkedIn. And I said something like, let your client be your North Star or something, your client's questions. I really try that needs to be what I'm focused on. And that's where I find the best results with my clients.
That's an interesting take, because I think a lot of times, especially in the agency world, which I'm in, it's like, we present our data to the client and it's sort of to show how well we are doing. But that's not the client's North Star necessarily. Hopefully the KPIs we have are aligned with what their KPIs are, right? But always keeping that in mind, that you look at this from the client standpoint, what's important to them, and are we bringing up that data point with them?
Exactly.
Last question I have for you on this, because I sit in all these meetings, you see I get PowerPointed to death, and with slides with a gazillion data points on them. Death by PowerPoint. Avinash has a whole bunch of different stuff around that. How do you deliver? So, we spoke about taking this data, understanding the North Star, answering the questions, pulling it together. So now you can tell a story about it, but now you have to deliver it. So what's your tips and tricks for sort of boiling that down put it onto paper so that people in the room can understand it, and when it gets passed around outside the room, they can still follow the story?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? That's the $64 million question. I think that's where a lot of your skill and your expertise comes into play, because you really have to distill down, like you said before, you used that word, distill down all the findings into something very short and small. And I forget who there was a British author who said, I would have written a shorter letter if I had had the time, right? So being able to really be concise and get right to the point. I would say the tip is keep going back to those original questions and make sure that you're still focused on those. I really get a lot out of visuals, David. I find that I'm able to communicate so much with visuals. I was just on a call with a colleague last week, and we were talking about something, and she was talking about a process, and I whipped out my journal and I drew a little picture and I held it up for her, and she's like, "That's it." She's like, "That's exactly it." She got it. So I think we've all been in those sorts of situations. I think the danger though is that you're going to load up too many ideas and too many concepts into one poor little graphic or image or something. So I really like using maybe a couple to tell a story, almost, in the storyboard kind of manner.
Yeah.
Stick to the basics and throw everything else in the appendix, which is kind of what I used when I was writing my dissertation in grad school.
Yeah.
Just stick to the basics, and all that other stuff you've done, all those great supporting analyses and everything, stick them in the appendix.
I love that storyboard analogy though, where it's just like these are the ones you can always pop out. Okay, are we going to use these images in this order? Is it
Yep.
telling the story that we want, instead of, well, there's a slide and now there's another slide? Love that idea.
I would say make sure, again, keep in mind that you need to be clear that you and your client, you and your customer, you and your audience, you're on the same page. So especially from that first slide. I mean, it does, in the academic world, it would be something like, a statement of the problem or something like that. It doesn't need to be anything quite that formal, right? But just, this is where we were. Client X needed a product refresh of this product line. And so they were thinking X. We did an analysis and we found out actually there's a seasonal variation. And so we found Y. And that's a true story too. That's something that I just did with one of my clients. So again, going right back to a statement of the problem, statement of the question, and what are you going to do with it?
Brilliant. Julie, as always, every time I talk to you, I learn something. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for taking your time.
Absolutely, David. It's been a pleasure. I love talking data with you.
Thanks.